So I'm using the 200 board as my reference here. You know, a moderate brake, maybe a 6 pedal, something like that. And I would say, I don't know, a few feet, maybe 6-8 feet after the white line starts here, that's where I turn. So moderate brake, sort of an abrupt brake release here. So right about here, I kind of pop off the brake. I purposely get a little bit of a slide out of the car to point it right away so I can go back to a lot of power. And I'm all over this apex curve. I'm touching the grass over here. Back to power, definitely before the apex with a good run. End up here at about 4,800 on the in fourth. No compromise at all. Let the car run right out to the grass here, and it's it's easy to hug. You know, even this minimum radius. Got plenty of grip here, so you don't have to compromise at all. Just trying not to scrub at all. You know, keep your eyes looking ahead, unwind the wheel.
And now they're going to be in a different spot.
I was using the 3 marker.
Yeah, but now who the hell knows where they're going to be.
As my brake reference. I think it probably started somewhere around this kind of burnt out patch right over here. I'd say, I bet right about here is where the 3 marker was. So, you know, it's probably, it's pretty much a threshold brake here. Pretty hard brake. I heard people talking about driving this 2 different ways, as a turning in early and double apexing. I found the single kind of late apex, maybe I don't know, a car width or 2 off of that curving worked best for me. So I wouldn't stay completely out to the side. I think the turn-in cone, there's a dot over there. You can see that yellow dot. That's where the turn-in cone was. I'd actually start bending it in a little bit earlier, but I wouldn't go all the way down to that apex. I do kind of let's call it a modified apex here. But some people were getting right onto that curbing, letting the car push out, and then diamonding it off and second apexing down there. That, for some reason, I couldn't get that to work for me. So kind of a modified late apex. You really got to be patient here with the brake release. When you come off the brake, you got to just give the car time to rotate. You know, if you start picking up the throttle too soon, whatever rotation that started, you're going to settle it, and then the car's not going to point it yet, and you're going to probably pick up a push. So come off the brake and just let the car rotate. You know, eyes looking through to where you want to be pointed, and then when you have the right angle, then squeeze power in and settle it. So I'm kind of coming in here, coming off the brake. This is about how wide I am off that curb, letting the car rotate, waiting, and I apex over here where the second curbing is. So I start coming down over here, and then right where the second curb starts, that's pretty much where I apex. You know, good shot out of here. I'm getting the rev limiter 3 times on the way over to 4, so that's kind of my benchmark. If I did that right, you know, any less than that, you've scrubbed speed, or you haven't gotten the car pointed like you should. So it's pretty consistent here. 3 pings on the rev limiter before I go to the brakes. I found where they had the turn-in cone yesterday was actually, that was a little early. I actually went a little past the turn-in cone, and then here you got to be a little more aggressive off the brake to get the car to rotate. You know, in the corner behind us, it's kind of a fairly slow brake release. Here you got to be a little more aggressive popping off the brake to get the car to point for you. That apex cone a little early, I thought, yesterday, so a little later turn in, a little later apex than they had marked out here. If you apexed where the cone was, you just ended up with a push in the second half of the corner. I tried, you know, if you're getting noise out of your front tires, you're probably in a little early here. You want to free up the car on the exit, not scrub speed. These next couple corners, I try to help the car turn in with a little rhythming. So I actually come off the edge of the road here a little bit, maybe not quite that far. Then I bring it back and I breathe right where the curb starts. Start turning in, let the car slide a little bit, and as soon as you have the angle that you want, squeeze power back on. Same thing here, you have to take all this apex curve. And I'm usually on these exit rumble strips here a little bit. And the same thing here with the rhythming. I come off just a little bit, bring it back in, and then I time it so that when I pop out of the gas, the car kind of uses that suspension, the weight transfer, I should say, to help point in. Here you got to stay off the gas longer than the corner behind us to get it to point. So you come off the gas and you wait, and finally it points for you, and then you squeeze power. It's really hard to be consistent on this corner. Either you slide the car too much or not enough. That's a tricky one to get just right.
Where are you coming back on power typically? Well before the apex, at the apex?
A little bit before the apex.
Okay.
The good run through there. The shift to fifth comes, I guess it was maybe like, I don't know, halfway down these rumble strips, probably your 7,004th, somewhere right around here, probably you're needing to grab fifth gear. Murph and I do two different things in the S's here. He did the van for you. I guess he gets up on these first rumble strips and then doesn't use the rest of them. I do the exact opposite. I stay off these first rumble strips. I take a little later apex than he does. On the brake before where they had that cone yesterday, and you're just staying on the brake long enough to deal with the load transfer. So when you turn back to the left and the load shifts, then it's off the brake and right to power. And then I get on these curves really early. Those cones are way late compared to what I do. So I'm on all of this curve. Come over here, just hold the apex, or hold the car left, I should say, for a second, and then bring it back, get right up on these curves over here. And in this last one, sometimes depending on how the tires are, if they're worn a little bit, sometimes it's hard to actually get back to the left. Here you can run a little bit wide, knowing that you can, even if the car pushes all the way out here, no big deal. I mean, you can still make this kink. But if I get it right, I'm all over that curbing there as well. 300 board for the brakes. And then I'm pretty aggressive here, popping off the brake to get the car to rotate. So I kind of get the car sliding here, back to throttle. And I do maybe, I don't know, 2/3 of the way over to the right. Just a little light long brake here until the car starts pointing. Then back to power. I get up on these curbs. And I try to get as good an angle as I can over here. I can't get all the way back to the left, but I bend it in. And then I'm sort of riding a light brake through the apex, and as soon as the car points a little bit, I'm back to power. Kind of straighten my hands for a second, then another brake application here so that when I pop off, the car points, and then I'm not just hanging the front end out here. So you got to brake there again to be able to get it to point when you release, otherwise you're just scrubbing speed. So moderate brake at the 200, downshift to fourth. Just after the white line starts to pop off the brake, get the car to point, and then back to power over the apex curve. Let the car push all the way out here, and then it's easy to just hug this inside rim here to make the corner. Alright, so we got some new reference markers here. Nice slow brake release, wait, and then back to power. Apex is curving. 3 pings on the rev limiter. Pretty hard brake here, and then you gotta kind of snap off to get it to point. Slightly past mid curbing, I would say, is where the apex is. and I rhythm the car here a little bit. I do something like this so that when I breathe off the gas, it helps the car point back to power over the curb. And the same thing here. I come out just a little bit, and then I lift. Here it's a long lift. You wait, and then it's back to power. You short and cut this curve if you want. Gear, and this is real tricky to manage the load transfer here. So you kind of get on the brake just before you apex this curve, and right after the weight shift, before the car picks up too much of a slide, you settle it with power. You get on this curve, then I get on this curve, and then I turn it early, and I get all over this curve too if the car happens to make it there. Right at the 300 board. And then you kind of pop off the brake here to get the car to point, and then back to power. And then a long brake, let it point, and then back to throttle and use it with this, curve over here.